Hello and welcome back to Toadstool Tarot. Today I am sharing with you a gift I received from another channel host, Justin Michael. You might want to check out his channel. This is the Lost Tarot of Nostradamus. He reviewed it on his channel and he hated it. But I sort of liked it, so I said, hey, if you don't want it, I think I'd like to have it. And he sent it to me, which is really nice. It's by John Matthews and Will Kingman. Will Kingen. And you might know John Matthews because John and Caitlin Matthews have written a number of books and published other tarot decks, so they are well known. This is published by Tuttle, which I'd never heard of Tuttle Publishing before. And it is a problematic deck, but we'll get into that. It's I'm not really a fan of Nostradamus, and it's not like I have a distaste or dislike for Nostradamus. I'm just not, there's nothing about Nostradamus that particularly intrigues me, which may put me at an advantage over some who might be disappointed in the deck, like I believe Justin was. It comes in a really heavy two-part box. It's has a 160-page illustrated book and 78 full-color cards. The cover's a little hard to get off the box. Inside the box is a book, The Lost Tarot of Nostradamus. So I haven't read too much about, although I believe this isn't strictly speaking his Lost Tarot. As far as I know, he never had a tarot. This was derived from his quatrain prophecies. And what intrigued me was, or appealed to me, was the artwork that I saw in Justin's walkthrough. And I thought the cards looked really interesting. It is inlaid in this little plastic insert and divided into two halves of the deck, which is a little bit awkward because it doesn't divide equally, really. But the suits have been renamed, and some of the card names have changed. The card stock is crap, as Justin might well agree. It's a really thick deck, but and very thick cards, but it's kind of like cereal box cardboard. It's really not great cardstock. Some people like thick cardstock, but it also has really sharp edges, so it's kind of like it was printed on really thick, like I said, cereal box cardboard and punch die cut, so you can feel how sharp the edges are on the cards, and they're really thick cards. I don't really care for the back design. It's not kind of this coppery, brassy kind of metallic on brown. It's not a bad design. I just kind of don't like the coloration of the inks, the ink combination of brown and coppery gold. The fronts are nicer, I think. I just wish it was on better cardstock. I'm going to walk you through this, and I'll try to explain as we go along how the suits vary. Actually, it does tell you in the book, if I can find it quickly, how the suits are renamed. It changed the suits from swords, wands, cups, and pentacles to stars, suns, suns, moons, and spheres. So the swords are stars, the wands are suns, the cups are moons, and the pentacles are spheres. The booklet has full page, a page and a half to 2 pages for each of the majors, black and white illustrations of the cards, along with interpretations, some keywords, the couplet from the quatrain that it was derived from. And let me just glance at the minor arcana. It's about a page for each of the minor arcana cards. Let's just say a half a page commentary, and then half a page interpretation and keywords upright and reversed. And there are some spreads at the end: the Alchemist spread, Wheel of Centuries spread, the Wheel of Centuries spread. This is the Alchemist spread. And a couple others. Alpha and Omega spread. So, just let me put that aside for quick reference if I need to later. These are not particularly intuitive cards from the images, but I do like the images a lot. This is the Fool. The majors are numbered. This is 0, the Fool. And you can't really see it, and you can't even under a light, it's hard to read. It'll tell you in the book, but sort of disguised in this part of the image down here is a couplet from the quatrain inspiring this card. So that's the Fool. Here is the Magician. The Papess. The Empress. I like these arch borders, and I like the quality of the coloring of the illustrations. This is the Emperor. I don't think a lot of these, some of them are obvious when you look at the cards, like the Hierophant, and some are not. They all are numbered and labeled, so you know, if you know your systems, you can work from the numbering and the labeling, even if the image doesn't do much for you. This is the Lovers. The Chariot. I really like the sort of antique-y, almost illuminated manuscript type imagery in these cards. Justice. I'm not yet sure how I'm going to work with them. I'm tempted, the Hermit, I'm tempted because they're thicker cards to possibly extract the majors as a majors only deck and set aside the minors. Fortune's Wheel. Because since the cards are thicker, majors only decks usually are too thin, I think, with 22 cards to shuffle properly. Fortitude. And because these are thicker, they will make a substantial majors only deck. The Hanged Man. You can see these images, this does not readily speak of the Hanged Man. It will describe in more detail in the book. Death. I think I would embrace these much more if they were on really nice cardstock and had nicer backings. But I may still be able to use them this way. We'll see. Temperance. And this is the Devil. The Burning Tower. The Star. The Moon. The Sun. Some of these have like alchemical illustration qualities, and some of them sort of remind me of the Deck of the Bastard. I can't remember the Deck of the Bastard was compiled from several different deck sources, and I can't remember the name of the one that this sort of reminds me of. That's Judgment. And this is called The Completed World. So those are the majors, and as you can see, that's a pretty substantial 22 card stack if I want to use it as a majors only deck. That's just something I'm thinking about. I'm not telling you to do that. It just might make it easier for me because like I said, I don't like the thick cards, and the full deck is really thick. And, well, I don't know. We'll see. I do like the images. So, I believe we are starting off with the suit of stars, which are the equivalent of the swords. So there's the 1, 2 of stars or swords, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause if you need longer. I'm going to I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to press on. 7 of stars or swords. 8. They almost look like shadow boxes. 9 with the arched windows or doorways. 10. Now we have the courts renamed. So in this suit of stars, instead of the page, we have the postulant. Then we have the cardinal. The abbess. And the Pope. The Pope here as opposed to the Hierophant in the majors. The second suit is Sons. which are the equivalent of wands. So this is the first card, or Ace of Sons. 2, 3, 4. I really do think these cards are beautiful. It's just that the card stock is so horrible. 5, which you won't get any semblance of in this video. You can't tell until you really handle them how bad it feels. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the quartz change again. Here we have the page of, is it Sons that we're on? Yes. Page of Sons, or Wands. Then we have the Knight. But instead of the Queen and King, we have the Lady and the Prince. Strange choices. Next we go to the moons. So we have the 1, or Ace of Moons, which are the cups, equivalent of the cups. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I tell you, the more I see these, the more I love the coloring and the illustrations. Even though the illustrations completely puzzle me and don't read for me intuitively, I'm fascinated by them. So now we have in the quartz for the Sons the Neophyte instead of the Page. Then the Initiate, the Prophetess, and the Master. And then the last suit is the Spheres. So we have Ace of Spheres, which are the Pentacles, I believe. Yeah, that's all that's left. The 2, 3, 4. I didn't mention these are sort of a semi-gloss. I mean, there's a bit of a sheen, but it's not really glossy. 5, 6. Oh, and the deck was devised by John Matthews, but the illustrations are by this Will Kingdon, just so you know. 7, 8, 9, 10, and then instead of the page we have the apprentice, and instead of the knight we have the astrologer, then we have the astronomer, and lastly the alchemist. So you can see the court cards are renamed and not consistent from one suit to the next. It's a different system. It has the same number of cards in the majors and the minors in each suit, even though some have been renamed. So, you know, it can be used like a regular tarot. And I'm assuming that this will depend heavily upon your reading of the book, The Lost Tarot of Nostradamus. So, what do you think? Do you have this deck? Do you like this deck? Have you experienced it? Have trouble reading it? Have had great success working with it? Does it frustrate you? Whatever. Let me know in the comments below what your experience is. And thanks for tuning in and checking this out. And thank you, Justin, for gifting me this deck so I could share it with others who may embrace it. Like I said, I'm still debating whether I'm going to use the whole deck, whether I'll investigate the book, or whether I'll simply use the majors as a pretty majors only art deck.